What is going on, NFL fans? It is Phillip Fox here with the Legit Football NFL podcast. And we are here to talk to you guys about the NFL. And right now, things are heating up. Training camp is in full swing. We have a really fun main topic for you today. I'm going to be joined by producer in paradise, Mr. Anthony Wehner. And we have walk-up music. Anthony, how are you today, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. I'm excited that training camp has officially been kicked off for a week now, and we're in it. We're in it to win it. There's a lot of injuries happening, so that's unfortunate. But to watch
Tragic.
it is, and to watch the guys coming in from the draft and playing with the team for the first time, it's really exciting, and I'm excited to cover it.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of the NFL. Every season is a different story. Every season is a different team. There's dynamics. There's the higher end, the lower end talent on the team, in the league. There's the guys that surprise for good reasons, the guys that surprise for bad reasons. And this is the first true step towards the ultimate beautiful novel that every NFL season is. Shout out Armand in the chat already, the absolute GOAT supporter of Legit Football. What's poppin', Armand? Great to see you. I'm Buffaloed out. Anthony's Detroited out. We are supporting our hometown teams, and it's time for us to dive into our legit. Oh man, those drops, Anthony, are just music to my ears. Dalvin Cook leaves the Jets without a deal, and the Dolphins might be the preference. Cook left New York on Monday without signing a contract with the Jets. Connor Hughes of Sports New York is reporting that the Jets will not break the bank for Cook, who is viewed as a luxury, not necessity. The team is optimistic about running back Breece Hall, who could return to practice well ahead of the Jets' Week 1 opener against Buffalo. Interestingly, Hughes writes that Cook's desire to play for the Dolphins is pretty well known, which signals that the four-time Pro Bowler is still holding out for a better offer. Cook recently said that playing for his hometown team would be a Cinderella story. Anthony, sort through the madness with this Dalvin Cook storyline, because we knew all along he wasn't going to be a Viking. We kind of thought, we didn't know, would it be New York? Would it be New England? Would it be Miami? Would it be Buffalo? There's all these teams. And help me summarize the Dalvin Cook saga and tell me where it's going to end. Get your crystal ball out. What's happening with this?
Yeah, when there was like everything going on in New York, I'm like, that's got to be a done deal. I'm like, he's going to New York. It's like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, it's kind of like one of those stops that you stay. And then I saw the headline saying that he left without a contract. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's getting interesting, and now we start brainstorming. All right, where's he going to go? Because he will be signed to a team. He's not going to remain a free agent, and so it really just depends on what team. Yeah. Miami would be a really fun story, and I think that that's what Cook wants, and so maybe he'll go over to Miami and help out with their run game over there. They have a decent running back room, I think, and I think that I really like that quote, luxury, not necessity, and that's exactly what he would be.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at Miami and Dalvin Cook's fit in Miami because, I mean, the room that they have is loaded in terms of depth, not necessarily in terms of high-end elite talent, which I think
Right.
Dalvin Cook might step in and maybe be the best running back on the team, but they have Raheem Mostert. They have Jeff Wilson. They have Salvon Ahmed. They have Devon A-Chain, all these players who are speedsters, and they fit the Shanahan-McDaniel offense so well. So it's almost like, like you said, do you really need to go out there and break the bank for a player like Dalvin Cook who still offers some elite play? You know, there's this weird narrative going around that he's like washed or whatever. And it's like, he had a pretty fine season in Minnesota last year. He was
Yeah, he
not
did.
the Dalvin Cook we know, but you know, a prime Dalvin Cook at 80% is better than, 80% of running backs in the league. So, I will take my chances with Dalvin Cook if I'm a team, but I don't know if it's Miami and I don't know if it's New York. I think same with Patriots, same with the Bills. I mean, they all are we're at that point, Anthony, where musical chairs, the song ended and all the players have chairs. And
Right.
Dalvin Cook is just kind of standing there like, will you scooch over, please? Like, I'm trying to get my chair. And
Yeah,
we'll see
exactly.
where it is, right? I don't know. It's interesting.
I did notice because Kirk Cousins led in play action yards in Minnesota. And so the
Great
coaches are
stat.
calling play action. And the only time that Cook gets the ball is on a check down. And I think that that has a lot to do with his lack of productivity. I think that everyone was like, he's not doing much. It's like, well, they're not letting him. They're not letting him do much. He's not a part of that system anymore, which really allowed him to leave on good terms, saying like, hey, this isn't for me. You guys aren't implementing me into your game plan. I'm going to go somewhere where they will. And I think that that's the goal here.
Yeah, and I like the point that you made about Kirk Cousins with play action, and I think the way that it sort of the way I took that stat, like, because stats like that, man, those are deep cuts, and that's what you get on legit football. You know, we're like I always say, we're the Football Guys podcast. Um, that means that defenses respect the run game when Dalvin Cook is getting the rock. If play action yardage is high from passing, it means that the defense is frozen when the ball is faked because the defense is watching the player, because Dalvin Cook, he's been scary to opposing defenses for a long time. So it'll be really interesting to see how it shakes out. Let's really quick before we move on. Betting man, Anthony. We've talked about it before. We're all degenerates here. Gun to your head. Where is he going?
Miami.
Miami. I think I'll say New York. I think he'll take the lesser deal. I
You
think it's gonna
think?
happen.
Okay.
I
All
do.
right.
Anthony, you ready to move on to our next legit headline?
Let's do it.
My good sir, out of Raiders training camp, Jimmy Garoppolo is struggling with the deep ball. Multiple reporters have noted that Garoppolo is struggling with downfield accuracy to start training camp. While still early, persistent deep ball struggles would cap the upside of big play threats like Devontae Adams. Garoppolo was not a big play quarterback with the 49ers last season, ranking 40th in yards per completion and 30th in intended air yards per attempt. Derek Carr, by comparison, ranked 14th in yards per completion with 11.5 and 5th in intended air yards per pass attempt at 9.1. Garoppolo's non-flashy style could benefit short to intermediate operators like Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, and rookie tight end Michael Mayer. Now, Anthony, I'm going to kick this one off here because I'm the resident Jimmy Garoppolo truther. I'm the last on this podcast to really believe in him.
Yeah.
So I'll say that, we're not exactly reinventing the wheel here by pointing out Garoppolo's struggles down the field. He's one of those quarterbacks like a Tua, like a Mac Jones. If I'm being mean, I'd call him a water pistol quarterback. He doesn't really have that howitzer. He doesn't have that rifle like Josh and Herbert and Mahomes. He's kind of got that water pistol arm. But I think we kind of knew that going into the season. I think that's why a lot of people are so down on him. He doesn't really offer elite athleticism. He doesn't really offer elite arm talent. But Anthony, that's never been his game. He's a logistics guy. He's an on-schedule guy. He'll get the ball in the spots in the short to intermediate range consistently. If you're looking for a quarterback to manage the game, Garoppolo is a great bet. If you're looking for a quarterback to support a top option in fantasy football like Devontae Adams, I don't know if they have their guy, Anthony.
No.
What do you think?
No, they don't. And Devontae Adams is a really good point because last week or 2 weeks ago or another episode, I said sometimes receivers can help quarterbacks play well and vice versa.
Yeah.
If Garoppolo can't even reach Adams, if Adams can't even get the ball from Jimmy Garoppolo, then is he actually going to be useful as their quarterback? If he's not able to get the ball to their star wide receiver, what's he going to do when it comes game time, when we're in the regular season and winning is crucial? And so I think that he is a water pistol quarterback, and I think that he has a lot of work to do. I don't want it to just be like running on the short game. That's how you fail fourth down conversions and have to punt the ball and try 60-yard field goals because you can't get down the field. And if Jimmy Garoppolo can't get the ball down the field, then they're not going to win. It's going to be a repeat of last year where they're not going to be able to do anything on offense effectively.
Yeah, it's a very interesting and precarious position that they find themselves in. I think it's part of the reason why a lot of analysts, a lot of, pundits have left the Raiders for dead, because there's just such little faith in Jimmy Garoppolo's true upside as a quarterback. And, he was never an upside play. I think he's got a high downside.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in San Francisco, everyone's like, "Oh, wow, he's pretty good," and then he wasn't. And we're like, we saw a little bit of good play, but you got to credit the offensive line and the lack of defense on the other side of the ball because Jimmy Garoppolo only played well against bad defenses. And so when you're playing in the AFC West, one of the most competitive divisions right now,
Yeah.
you're not going to get that. You're going to be playing good defenses all the way through the season, And that's going to be tough for Jimmy Garoppolo because I think that he's going to really struggle with that.
Yeah, and not even just that, Anthony, but great offenses. And if you're playing a shootout game against Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Russell Wilson, but um, it's not going to be really easy to keep up. If
Right.
you have a water pistol, it's harder to keep up. So, I think we do owe some respect to Prime Jimmy, and maybe he can find that form again. He's had his success in the past with not necessarily deep balls like consistently, but I recall the year when he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl the first time, which I think in hindsight is the only time that he's taken them. He's taken them close a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only time he took them to the Super Bowl that season, he had some nice accuracy on deep balls, nice touch.
And it's really hard to predict all of this because we still haven't even seen him play in a Raiders uniform. So it could be a completely different story. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, we haven't seen anything yet. So this is all just us predicting, thinking what's
yeah.
going to happen because of what we know and what we've seen before. But look, by the looks of it in training camp, it's not looking too good. But how often has training camp not looked good and then the football team did?
Exactly. Yeah, it does tend to be a little bit of you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Josh McDaniel might be a lame duck coach, and he might be the next coach fired if Jimmy is sputtering the way that it seems.
I can see that.
That might be what it takes to put the Raiders in position to go out and get the first overall pick, which next year is going to be a locked and loaded franchise future quarterback. So, Anthony, I think we've teased this one out as much as we can. I think it's time to move on to our last legit headline before our main topic. And this is the kind of stuff that you just hate to see. Tim Patrick, Broncos wide receiver, has suffered a complete Achilles tear. Patrick, who was carted off the field on Monday, will miss the entire 2023 season. The 29-year-old missed all of last season with a torn ACL. Patrick was set for a starting role alongside Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. His injury, while devastating from a human perspective, opens up more targets for rookie second-rounder Marvin Mims. Mims averaged 20 yards per reception in the Oklahoma Sooners offense last season, and he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.38 seconds. As we always say, this is a human-focused podcast. Devastating news for Tim Patrick. A year off of a torn ACL, he tears his Achilles. You got to think, Anthony, this is the end of his career, right? Oh, I think he might be muted. There you go.
I think that it might be the end of his career, and that's really unfortunate because it's almost like as soon as he's nearing a breakout, something happens. And he starts to play good, and we start to look at him like, oh, he's one of the best receivers on the Broncos roster, and then something happens, and we're like, oh, well, now Cortland Sutton's going to show him up. And I mean, I kind of like this for Marvin Mims because
Yeah.
that's kind of a win. That's kind of a door when a window is closed.
Yeah.
And so I think that nobody wishes injuries on anybody, but I think Mims might be pretty happy about this.
Yeah, we do have to. I mean, probably not literally, but
No,
he's
not
probably seeing the
literally.
silver
Not
lining. I know
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business and the show goes on. So the next man up, right? It very well could be Marvin Mims. I'm hearing things about KJ Hamler, Broncos receiver, also having some health issues with his chest, maybe
Yeah.
a heart condition or something along
I
those lines.
I thought Hamler immediately, and
Me
then
too.
I remembered, I'm like, "Wait a minute, he's kind of been limited, so Mims might be the next guy up."
Yeah,
Just, dynasty fantasy drafters, just
could
take
be
that into
great for
consideration.
Greg Dulcich, tight end. Could be great for whatever running back steps up. I mean, it could be Samaje Perine. It could be Javonte Williams if he comes back healthier from the leg injuries, the ankle, all that. Javonte Williams has kind of been blown up. His whole structure of his knee and ankle were kind of shattered last year. So we'll see how this looks for him, but it's definitely an unfortunate reality for Tim Patrick, the man, and we wish him a
I
speedy
mean,
recovery.
are we thinking, early retirement?
I think so.
It
That
he
is kind of
has
where
to,
my
right? I
brain
mean,
goes,
that
right?
is
Like,
at the point where it's like
yeah.
you can't move around without tearing something now, and especially going into old age a few decades from now, that's gonna really take a toll on him, and so maybe it's time to say like, "Hey, I should put the helmet down."
Yeah, it's devastating, but you might be spot on, Anthony. On a less somber note, my friend, it is now time for our there we go, baby. Main topic. We're talking best players on every AFC team. And Anthony, we did this a couple weeks ago with your twin brother Tyler, who we miss, wish could have been here today. But it was such a blast, man. Just
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't know if you've seen the meme or the tweet that's going around that like there's something about a bunch of dudes who can just hang out and just say names of football players all day and have
Yeah,
the blast, like have the best time. And that's really what we do on these podcasts, these best player podcasts. It's like, oh, this player, yeah, he's good. Oh, this player, yeah, he's
right.
good. And for the listeners who just want to celebrate greatness today, you're in for a treat. Armand, anybody else who's been in the chat, anybody else who's here, we have a blast of a show for you. And Anthony, I'm gonna let you kick it off, man. Pick an AFC team and tell me your best player on that team and why.
I want to start with one of the most competitive divisions in the league right now, the AFC West. I think that I want to start with Denver just because I want to present sort of a challenge because we all know
Hmm.
it's not Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one in mind, but I want to hear yours first.
Yeah, well, Denver's an interesting pick because they have some sneaky talent on the offense and
Right.
defense. But I think the main one for me is going to be Pat Surtain, the corner. He's just so elite and he's so underrated, and I think Pat Surtain absolutely deserves to be named the best player on the Denver Broncos.
That was mine too. I,
Nice.
I I definitely have to agree with you. I think that that is the Broncos' best player, which is kind of unfortunate for the rest of the roster because he's a young cornerback, and you
Yeah.
would think that you want skill on the other positions, especially offensively, but you don't. But you don't have that, and so
No.
we're sitting here like, okay, yeah, this guy who was a rookie not that long ago is probably their best player. And it's kind of insulting to the rest of the roster if you think about it. But no, he's definitely earned his spot as the number one player. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think Pat Surtain, I love the safety Justin Simmons. He deserves an honorable
Yeah, but
mention.
I had Justin Simmons as number two.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy could be. I mean, I think talent-wise he might be, but he's not shown that from a production standpoint. So,
I'd say he's the best player on their offense.
yeah.
That
And if we're
that I think I
talking
could say
if we're
confidently.
talking legacy, Russell Wilson,
Right.
I mean, has to be at least thrown a breadcrumb to in this conversation.
Right.
This man's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, former MVP candidate year in, year out,
Say,
Hall of Famer
but
possibly.
remember the title says best current players.
That's true.
Currently, he's not the best, so
Well, I mean,
it's
but
hard
I,
to.
I the question becomes really quick before we move on. Can he ever get there again?
That's a really good question. I
It is.
personally think so. I think
I
Sean
think he
Payton
could.
could be the man to do that. He worked
I
with
think
Drew
so.
Brees,
Hmm.
who easy Hall of Famer, and so I think that Russell Wilson, he had a downfall. He went down, but that doesn't mean he can't go back up.
Yeah.
Um,
He was atrocious last year, man.
once you hit the bottom, there's only one direction to go, and that's up.
That's true.
Uh,
I mean, I hope so, because if not, it's gonna be ugly.
right,
Um, yeah, that's good. Let's stay in the AFC West now. Why don't we just crush that division? Let's do the Raiders. Anthony, who do you got?
Devontae Adams.
Ah, it's a no-brainer. He's
It
freaking
is
amazing. He
absolutely
is amazing.
one.
Just
One
some of the
could
best
argue
hands.
Josh Jacobs. But
Rushing
he
champ.
did lead, yeah, exactly. He led rushing last year. He's a good back, but Devontae Adams, I think, is better at
I do
his
too.
position anyway. And I don't know. I think that one could argue, but Devontae Adams got to be number one.
Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby. I'll throw his name in there.
Max Crosby would be good. Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball,
Absolutely
I think he's
elite,
the best.
elite defensive end. He had a couple nice moments in that quarterback special, where he was getting him and Pat Mahomes were getting into it. I don't know if you watched that, but it was very entertaining. You should, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it.
All right, we'll do.
It's very funny. Great Raiders open and shut case.
Cool.
Anthony, let's do the Chargers. Go
Ah,
Chargers.
I want to say Austin Eckler. I
Ooh,
want to say
Austin
Austin Eckler.
Eckler.
I think he's really good, especially in the red zone. He's good at checkdowns. He can catch. He can run. He could really do it all.
They have so many
Um,
names that you could say though. Like, think about it.
seriously, Mike Williams,
Eckler,
Keenan Allen,
Mike
Justin
Williams,
Herbert.
Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Derwin James, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson.
I mean, that
That's a
roster's stacked.
that's a talented team, and the fact that they underwhelmed so much last year is so disappointing. They really really last year they should have been better. They should have. I know injuries were bad and health was bad, but let's see the Chargers turn a corner this year before we take them out of that conversation, right? Like
Yeah.
let's give this is their last dance, really. If they don't show us who they are, then they're overrated. They're washed. Um, Anthony, last but not least, is there an easier one in the entire in the entire day that we'll be talking about today than the best player on the Chiefs?
Travis Kelce.
I mean, geez, I mean, him and Mahomes have a
Yeah,
case
we
of
might have to
being.
put them together.
They have a case
Um,
of being the best players at their positions right now and of all time. I mean, Mahomes
True.
has a way to go to get to Brady, but Kelsey could be the best tight end of all time. I think you were joking because Mahomes is, the best, the
Oh, no,
best.
absolutely. Mahomes is easily the best
But
player on
but
that team, but
but it was a joke that had a lot of truth to it. I mean,
right.
Kelsey is amazing. I mean, yeah. Let's just really quick. Let's try to think of some other names. I mean, Chris
Yeah.
Jones on the defense,
Yeah, I
pretty
like
elite. They got some young linebacker talent, but I don't think it deserves to be mentioned in this conversation. Yeah, there you go. It's open and shut.
well, it's
Mahomes to
one of those
Kelsey.
things with Kansas City because, yeah, Mahomes and Kelsey are the best players. If any defense can find a way to slow them down, Kansas City's gonna stop winning games.
Yeah,
And then
but
we're not gonna see them in the
good
Super
luck
Bowl.
with
If
that.
they can find out how to stop them, then that's how you beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, it
Because
is. Yeah,
it's hard to name, I mean, you start naming players and you're like, "Wait, are they really that good?"
they are
Like,
missing a lot of talent.
so,
You're not
um,
wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. If you're looking at an entire team, they're a little overrated, but coaching, quarterback, and weapons matter. Like they prove that big three is more important than anything else in the league. So,
Right.
Anthony, it's time for us to move on. Pick a division, any division.
It's your turn. I want you to pick a division.
Let's do the AFC South because I think that's where we're scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one. And I like how we went bottom up in the West. Let's go bottom up again. Let's start with the Houston Texans. Best player.
Ooh, okay. The
I
best
love this team.
player on the Texans. I know you do.
They're one of them. I think they're so sleep. I think they're so slept on, man.
Because I so badly want to say CJ Stroud, but we haven't
So
seen him yet.
early. Yeah,
We
I was
haven't
gonna
seen him
say,
yet, so I
gotta let
can't.
him.
I can't do
He's
that.
got. You could say Will Anderson too, the defensive end
I
they drafted and
right,
pick
exactly. And
after.
it's
They're
like,
both
but
elite prospects.
exactly, and it's starting to seem like the best players on the team haven't even played yet. That's how
It's weird.
bad Houston was.
They were
It's
bad,
hard
but
to
they were
think of
like
any good player.
sneaky good though, and they have D'Amico Ryans coming in as their head coach.
Mhm.
I got a couple for you. I got a couple off the wall ones. I think Dalton Schultz is a great player. I think Dalton Schultz is a great tight end.
I think he has way to go, but I think he has the potential to be maybe the best player, at least on
I,
the offense.
I think Dalton Schultz is very underrated. I love Devin Singletary, but he's not really. I don't think he's necessarily worthy of being in this conversation.
Right. Right.
Um, I'm gonna do my exercise from last time. Oh, dude, we're forgetting like the most obvious name. Um, their left tackle, Laramie Tunzel, one of the
Oh,
best in the
of
league.
course.
Yeah, I did the old hack that I did last time. I'm looking at Madden ratings, and he's got a 95 on Madden. I
Right.
forgot he
Okay.
just
Yeah.
signed a big extension. One of the best tackles in the game. So if you listen to this podcast and you get to this team and you don't listen for a second, you might think that we suck. But Laramie Tunsil is the obvious pick. But
I think he might be.
let's go down a couple names here. They got Jimmy Ward, the safety. He's pretty good. They just picked him up this offseason. Shaq Mason, the guard. Damian Pierce, the running back. And Dalton Schultz is the next name. So yeah, they have some sneaky pieces here and there, but nothing remarkable. Anthony, let's move up a team. Let's do Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I want to say Jonathan Taylor, but there's been some talks where he's not going to be playing, so
Still
I'm
think
going
that
to take
makes.
him
I still
out of
think
the conversation.
I still
You
think he
think you can
is
still put him in there? Okay.
he's the de facto one, but we can, for the sake of the conversation, we can keep talking.
Right. And then if not, if, Shaquille Leonard, I think
Yeah,
would
yeah,
be in that conversation.
linebacker,
Sure.
Shaq Leonard, absolute stud. I like Kenny Moore, slot cornerback. Um, Historically, I've liked wide receiver Michael Pittman. Once again,
Quentin
I was
Nelson,
gonna
we
say
could put
Quentin
in that. Yeah.
Nelson, elite, one of the best guards in the game. We can't sleep on offensive line. I know we love flashy position players, but offensive linemen, they get their lunch pails, they get their hard hats,
They're
they go to
very
work.
important. Yep.
We got to give
Very.
respect where it's due, my friend. So, great calls on Indy. I think Anthony Richardson could play his way into this conversation this year.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's really it in terms of like players who could ascend to that.
Yeah.
I do kind of love the exercise of like going and seeing who Madden has as their best player. I just think that's kind of a fun wrinkle in this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
It
going to take a
definitely is.
look at the Madden rating, and the number one Colt on Madden is Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle is the only
He's up
name we
there
didn't
for
say.
sure.
Shaq Leonard's great. Grover Stewart, Michael Pittman, Kenny Moore. All right, Anthony, we have the Tennessee Titans, my friend, and it feels like a no-brainer.
Yep, Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry,
For sure.
no-brainer.
There's
They
I
got
don't
some.
think we
They got
can.
some talent. DeAndre Hopkins, is pretty damn good receiver. He can be mentioned here. Um, Kevin Byard, the safety, pretty elite player.
For
But
sure.
I think beyond those guys, I don't really think there's that much. Right? Like, I mean, I
I
think
think
that's
Derrick
really,
Henry's the one, yeah. I
yeah,
think we
Derrick
have to
Henry,
get that.
DeAndre Hopkins, Kevin Byard. Yeah, that's what Madden has. Jeffrey Simmons, the tackle, is pretty elite, but that's three names ahead of him. So, last but not least, we finished the division in Jacksonville, my friend. Who do you got?
I gotta say Trevor Lawrence.
I think Trevor Lawrence is the correct call as well. There's gonna be a lot of names that ascend this year, though. If they
Oh,
have the
like
kind of
Zay
season,
Jones? I mean, I'm a fan of Zay Jones. I think he could break out this year. He did really good last year, especially
it's
going into the postseason.
it's
And
pretty funny. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and so I think that his athleticism has improved, and now he's being targeted more. So when he was playing his first year, he just wasn't targeted. He didn't play. So now that he's getting targeted, he's getting play time. He's doing very well. He scored so many touchdowns. Now he could become wide receiver one. He'll probably stay at wide receiver three, maybe sneak his way into two, but he will be getting play time now, and maybe he's going to break out. So I think Zay Jones could be in this conversation next year.
Yeah, give credit where credit is due. Zay Jones did have a big ascension in Jacksonville. I think his top end talent, like what he can be, respectfully, is a little lower than like a best player on a team sort of situation.
Right.
I'm looking at Calvin Ridley ahead of him as like a better player, in my opinion, even though he's spent a couple years away from the game. I'm looking
I
at.
mean, how much do you think that that's gonna affect his play? Like,
We'll
being
find
out
out.
of football for
He
so
looks
long.
pretty damn good in camp. He looks pretty damn sharp from what I'm hearing. So it's a fun exercise because I did the Madden ratings for Jacksonville, and when I
Right.
was looking at the entire AFC South, I didn't see any Jags. There's 90s and 100, and close to 100s on other teams. But when you get to the Jags, they don't have any players in the 90s. Their highest player is 85. But then listen to this, Anthony. They have four 85s right in a row: Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Josh Allen, Tyson Campbell. Then Evan Ingram, Foye Aluakon, linebacker, Travis Etienne, Brandon Scherf, and then Trevor Lawrence. I think they're sleeping on Lawrence a little bit. I think by the end of the year, he'll have earned his way up into the
Yeah.
90 range. But it's a fun exercise, man. I love, love seeing what the discourse. And I'm proud of you for bringing up a deep cut like Zay Jones. I mean, he was drafted by Buffalo. I know a thing or two about him.
Yeah, I think he's more of a breakout candidate than a best player, though, so we'll
Yeah, he
probably keep him out
definitely, and
for
he
now.
kind of broke out last year a little bit. I mean, we'll see if he's got it in him to, keep up the good work. But that's it for the AFC South, Anthony. We have two divisions left. We are flying through the main topic today. My friend, pick the next
Yeah, we
division.
are. The AFC North.
Fun division to talk about. I think I love what we've been doing, bottom to top. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, did the Browns finish in last place last year? I believe they did. Let's talk Browns.
Yes. Alright, yeah, I'm down. Let's go Browns.
Who do you got?
Who do I got for the Browns? Miles
Best player
Garrett.
on the Browns. Oh,
Has to be, right?
easy. Yeah. I'm like
Right?
I'm like in
Yeah.
my head, who do we got on Cleveland? We got Amari Cooper's pretty good. Deshaun Watson, not so much
Yeah.
anymore. And then I'm
You might
like,
be able to
oh,
put
wait a
Denzel
minute.
Ward up there.
Denzel Ward is another contender. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a fun one. Myles Garrett. Don't forget Nick Chubb, running back, one of the
No.
best running backs in the NFL. Should be definitely
I'm
mentioned, but
worried about his production this year. I don't know. He was kind of on a downhill slope last year, and I
he
just don't want
did
him to
slow
stay on that downhill
down.
slope.
He did slow down when Watson came in. I agree with you there,
Yeah.
but I think he's
Remember,
getting
I
past.
traded him in our dynasty league
I was
because
so
I
proud of you for
noticed the
that.
lack of production.
I was so proud of Anthony. Listen to this. Anthony got 12
That
draft
was hard.
picks and Brees Hall for Nick Chubb. That's what you call a fleece. If Galileo, if you're listening, that you got fleece, brother. Um, and Anthony almost didn't accept it. He texted me. He was like, "I don't know, man. Chubb's my stallion." I was like, Bro, you can reinvent your whole team. You can reinvent the league with that trade haul, man. You could ascend to the top of the league this year if you play your cards right. So,
Oh yeah,
I
I've thought about that. I'm very excited, very
it's
nervous.
gonna be a fun season. I can't wait to see how the season shakes out, man.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Joel Bitonio, the guard, gets some love on Madden. Wyatt Teller, the guard. Pass rushers to Darius Smith, recently acquired from Minnesota, I believe, and tight end David Njoku are rounding out their top players. So next up is Pittsburgh, and there's a lot to be said about Pittsburgh, man. I
Yeah.
will take it. I'll take this one on my shoulders because I think the obvious choice is defensive end TJ Watt.
Yes. Okay. If I was thinking the same
Easy,
thing.
right? Yeah, easy money, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Another a runner up might be Minka Fitzpatrick.
Minka
I
Fitzpatrick is
think that his ball
incredible.
hawking skills. Yeah.
He gets his
I
hands
think
on
that his
more
ball
balls
hawking
than
skills are very. Yeah.
yeah. Seriously, yeah, no. I am very very impressed by Minka Fitzpatrick and what he's been able to do since he's signed on with Pittsburgh. Cameron Hayward, defensive end, or defensive like a lineman, I should say. Pat Fryermuth's pretty elite. Najee Harris is good. Deontay Johnson, wide receiver, is good. A lot of love for Pittsburgh. You kind of have been a little higher on them than a lot of us. You've kind of been of the mindset that they can sneak their way into the playoffs this year, correct?
Yes, and that's just because of all the development that's happening. They were a young team with a very young coach, and I just think that having young athleticism like that, you can grow into something successful, and I think they're on their way there. I think they'll see the postseason. I think they'll complete it. They won't beat all the levels to play the boss. I don't
I
think
love
so.
it.
I think it'll be game over, wild card round, but I
Wild
think
card
that
round, yeah.
I think they'll have a winning season. They'll be over 500 at least.
Well, Mike Tomlin doesn't let his teams finish less than 500. We've learned that.
True.
Death taxes
He
and
does a very good
Mike
job at it.
Tomlin finishing over, and Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards. There's a couple things that are just inevitable, right? Like Thanos just snapping the
Yeah,
gauntlet.
exactly.
Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens.
The Ravens.
Anthony, who's the best player on the Baltimore Ravens?
Gotta say Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he's such a good player, man.
I'm not
MVP.
even a huge Lamar Jackson fan, but I think that a part of that is I'm in denial that he is good. And so I have
He's a
to kind of
dog,
just
man.
swallow my pride and accept that he's the best player on Baltimore.
He is very good, man. I love Lamar Jackson. That's a great pick. I love linebacker Roquan Smith. Show some love to Roquan. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah, that's what I was
Very,
gonna say.
very elite at stripping the ball, believe it or not. Has been one of the league leaders in forced fumbles in recent seasons. A lot of talent over there. J.K. Dobbins is a great running back. If he gets back to full strength, he could be, a player that we talk about on this list someday.
Oh
More of a
yeah.
breakout candidate, as you said. Baltimore open and shut case though. We have the 2019 MVP Lamar Jackson, easy money. This is the hard one because there's so many damn good players on this freaking team, Anthony. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
They're becoming my new nemesis, and I talk about it on this pod a lot. But the Cincinnati Bengals, with their smack talk and their mayor signing executive decrees and this, that, and the third. Who's the best player on the Bengals, Anthony?
Joe Burrow.
Joe Shiesty. Yeah.
I
That's
think that
easy.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are in this conversation.
Jamar Chase.
For sure. I think that Joe Burrow's just up there because he's an all-around quarterback. He can be mobile when he needs to. He can get the ball 50 yards down the field when he needs to. Whatever needs to be done, Burrow can get that done.
Best poise out of any quarterback in the NFL. He's got such composure. It's such a beautiful thing to watch when Joe Burrow's maneuvering the pocket. When Joe Burrow is leading his team on a comeback drive, he just has the most composed stone face. You don't you don't feel him waver, like Mahomes, he wavers, and it can be a good thing. He can fire up his team. Same with Josh Allen, but sometimes that leads those guys to making mistakes. Joe Burrow's mistakes never ever come from a lack of composure, and that is something I have so much respect for. Jamar Chase, one of the best route runners, especially down the field in the NFL. Incredible at the corner or the post. He's so elite at that, and it's insane the percentage of routes that he runs down the field that are still high percentage. T. Higgins is a great player, deserves some love here. If Jimmy Ray were here, he would say Herb Smith. Um, Anthony, anybody else on the Bengals standing out to you?
No, I think we covered that. I think it's obvious who the best players on that team are.
They have an elite defensive line. I love me some Trey Hendrickson, some Sam Hubbard, but they are not on the level of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Right. Absolutely.
We've done it. We've done the dance with 3 out of the 4 divisions. We've covered the North. We've covered the South. We've covered the West. And we're ending in my favorite division in football, not only because my favorite team plays there, but because I think it's the most compelling right now. The AFC East. And I'm talking the most compelling in the NFC, most compelling in the AFC. This might be the most compelling division in professional sports this
Oh
upcoming
yeah,
season. The
absolutely.
storylines of Tua Tagovailoa and his health and his ceiling as the Dolphins quarterback, the melodrama of Aaron Rodgers in New York, subtweeting Sean Payton, calling him out, trying to start a Twitter beef with him. We have the formerly darlings turned into post-hype sleeper Buffalo Bills. And you have the former greatest team of all time, former greatest coach of all time, now kind of just a shell of themselves. New England Patriots, just desperate to find their way. Mr. Anthony, who's the best player on the New England Patriots?
Matt Judon.
I like it.
I
I really
think
like the
that,
pick.
you could talk about receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, try to figure out who's the best. And it's like Judon, though, is such an incredible player, and he's holding up that defense. He's the only reason why teams struggle to score 21 points instead of 14 against them,
Yeah.
or 14 points instead of 21 points against them.
No,
And
that's a
I think
phenomenal
that,
pick.
yeah, and so I think that he's the best player on New England right now.
I think Ramondre Stevenson should get a nod. He's a
I
stud.
put him at runner up for sure. Yeah.
Love Ramondre Stevenson. I'm really looking desperately to find other names of players that I like, but man, that roster just
It's
seems
tough.
quite devoid of talent. I think maybe with good coaching, which I think they should have theoretically because they have the best coach of all time, but some say he's washed. Some say he's on the hot seat. I don't know about you. I'm not saying it. You're not saying it, but some say it. So we'll see if coaching can get them back into like a position where they can win 8 or 9 games and maybe fight for a wild card spot.
I personally don't see it, especially in that division.
Yeah, I think they're
Especially in that
probably.
division. I
I
think
think.
that the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins are on their way to be extremely dominant, where the Patriots can be like, well, we can't get through them. So, we can get through some other teams, but we can't get through the 6 games we have to play against. So I think they're going to at least have 6 losses, and that's going to be all in the division.
I'm happy to see Takedo Luna in the chat today. What's poppin', Takedo Luna, one of the OG supporters of legit football. Can people remind me how Sean Payton is going to turn Russ into a champion again? Says Takedo. We talked about it a little bit. And we think if anybody can turn Russ into a champion, it is Sean Payton, but I
Yeah.
don't.
I wouldn't think of anyone else who could.
I guess maybe like those old school quarterback whisperers, but you need them in their prime too. I mean, coaches like Bill Parcells, coaches like Holmgren or
Tony Dungy.
those kinds of elite all-time coaches might, but Sean Payton is for right now one of the best contenders, absolutely. And I'm loving the culture change that I'm hearing. Like it sounds like Denver is so in such a different place. I don't think Sean Payton did himself any favors by smack talking Nate Hackett that badly and starting beef with Aaron Rodgers. I think that was pretty corny of him and kind of
Yeah.
like not really something that you'd like to see happen. But that's okay. It is what it is. I mean, he maybe made a mistake, or it could be a sign of maybe he's lost it. Maybe he's been drinking the media Kool-Aid a little too much. Really quick, we have in 2021, Peyton was what 9-8 with the Saints, and that isn't even the same game. It's true. He did not have his best season at the end of the administration in New Orleans, but he didn't have a real quarterback. I think Russ could be a lot better.
Well, that's the thing is he has been better. He has been very good.
Yeah, he's been a
And
Hall
I
of
think
Famer.
it's in there somewhere. You just got to get it out of him. It's like those movies where they have amnesia and you're like, remember who you are. You
Yeah,
can do it. You have to remember. And then you show them
that's awesome. That's a really
so
hilarious.
I think
Yeah,
that that's what's happening in Denver.
we have to see if Russell's got it in him still, because I mean, this social media thing that we've seen him turn into, this like monster of just corn, just the corniest human being on the planet. And just thinking he's like this, he's got this
Yeah, let's
self-image
ride.
that's so I love Let's Ride. That's one thing I can't get rid of. It's so funny. But let's see if Russell Wilson can turn the corner. If anybody's going to do it, it's Sean Payton. Armand says Sean Payton needs to keep my coach's name out of his mouth, pulling a Will Smith. Week 5 can't come soon enough. We all agree, Armand. I mean, let's not wish away the future. We do also still have week 1 where my team goes up against your team. I think we should do a legit football bet where if the Bills beat the Jets in week 1, then what do I want Armand to do? We'll have to figure that one out. But if the Jets beat the Bills, I'll wear some Jets merch on a show.
that'd be
That's
a
what we'll
fun
do.
bet.
But I need something from you, Armand, back. So propose things to me in the chat, and we'll see if we can come to terms on a deal. In the
Alright.
meantime, Anthony, who's the best player on the New York Jets?
Aaron Rodgers.
You think so? You think he still got it?
Yeah, it's either Aaron or Sauce Gardner. I think we.
Sauce Gardner was probably going to be my pick. I love the rookie love. He was a rookie last year. He's going to be a second-year player now. He already got Defensive Rookie of the Year. People are talking like he's DPOY this year. We'll see what happens.
It could happen, especially
He's
if
my
New
pick.
York really gets their cleats in the ground. I think that they can
I like that.
easily
Anthony is
get
man with metaphors today. Man, this is a poet.
Sauce Gardner. I'm a songwriter. What can I say?
I love it.
Metaphors are my whole thing.
I love it.
Sauce Gardner, I think, will force us all to eat the sauce, and we'll have to be like, all right, this is one of the best cornerbacks out of his draft class, maybe out of draft class the last 5 years. And I think that maybe we could argue that Sauce Gardner is better than Aaron Rodgers. We haven't seen Aaron Rodgers play for New York yet, so we should keep it at Sauce before we give it to Aaron.
Yeah, I will say I like Sauce. I like Aaron. I want to throw some love out to Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson.
Gotta do Breece Hall, but it's just the injury. I feel
the
like
injury for Breece Hall, yeah, but Garrett Wilson could be a top 5 receiver by the end of the year. I mean,
big fan of Garrett Wilson.
His talent is freaking insane, man. That dude gets open, man. Let me tell you. So Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall. I think that's a good list. Yeah. Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle, deserves some love. Armand, if you can think of any other Jets that we missed, like who's truly contender for like best on the team, comment them. Armand, do you have any sort of an inclination? Let me really quick catch up on the chat here. These Armand and Takeda waited until 40 minutes in, but they have the chat on absolute fire right now, Anthony. I'll say this. CJ Stroud has a longer touchdown streak than Russ Wilson, Danger Witch stayed on the Subway menu. Takeda taking shots. We also have Takeda saying the best person on the Jets is Fireman Ed or Mike Green. Very, very true. Love me some Fireman Ed. And we also have Armand shouting out Quinnen Williams, who we did give a shout to. Definitely an elite defensive player.
Yeah.
Armand, we're going to find what it is that you'll do for me. Maybe it's a graphic design thing. Maybe you'll make a video apologizing to me for doubting the Bills, and we'll put it on the show.
We'd air it live.
Something like that. But we will figure it out. But I might need you to send me Jets merch because I'd rather not spend my hard-earned American currency on Jets merch. Anyways.
Yeah, you've Bills merchandise to take care of. So
that's exactly right. You
New York
know.
Jets jerseys.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Your money.
I can't be doing that. Anthony, we're down to the last 2 teams, and it's fitting the 2 hosts of the show, Brian McFadden and myself, it's our favorite teams. Anthony, who is the best player on the Miami Dolphins?
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
that's a freaking brainer.
Gotta be.
He's such a stud, man. I hate that speed, man. He's so scary.
It's insane.
He's so scary. Anytime he touches the ball, it could be a touchdown.
Yeah.
I've been quoted as saying I don't think he's a top 5 receiver. There's been a lot of drama and controversy around it. He's a top 5 weapon, though. There's a lot of things that go into being a great receiver that is different from being a great weapon. So,
well, not even that, but even just his yards after catch,
dude, it's insane
because you can't catch him. He's a cheetah. You can't. Yep. He's just so fast. By the time you can reach your arm out to grab him, he's 50 yards down the field.
Literally,
it's too late now.
Yeah,
and then you can get the peace sign.
I was gonna say, as a Bills fan, I've seen Tyreek Hill burn us more times than I can count, especially in the playoffs. Man, that's son of a gun.
Miami got something out of signing trading for Tyreek Hill. I think that is huge.
Jalen Waddle, Jalen Ramsey, R.I.P. He'll be back, but R.I.P. for now. I think Tua could play his way into the conversation if he has another year like he was trending on having last
If
year.
he stays healthy, yeah, we could put him in this conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Defensive tackle Christian Wilkins is pretty elite. Xavier Howard, great defensive player. That's it for now. I'll let them play it out. I think for now that's a good list for best Dolphins players. They got a lot of guys, man. It's a
Yeah.
talented team. They should be great this year. If they're not great, something went wrong.
Right.
Last but not least, we saved the best for last, the coup de grace, my friend. I'm gonna let you go crazy because I could talk for an hour about my favorite players on the Bills. I'm gonna let you go crazy. Who's
I
the best player on the
totally
Bills?
get it. I gotta say Josh
I
Allen.
think so. I think that's the easy one. Yeah,
But Stephon Diggs at runner up.
right
But Josh
there.
Allen has got to be the best player on the Bills, hands down. Just his athleticism. There's this one play against the Lions where
Oh,
he ran like 65 yards
he's
down the
crazy.
sideline, could not catch him. And I'm like, are
He's
you kidding me? This dude's like 7 feet tall. Just like
he's a
jump and try to trip him. His legs are long. I'm like, you got to catch this guy, but they couldn't. They couldn't. His athleticism is so insane that, I mean, 11 men on a football field couldn't catch him. So we got to put Josh Allen up there.
No, I think that's a phenomenal pick. I agree with you, Josh and Stephon Diggs are my 1 and 2. Definitely agree with you there. Josh Allen, you said it yourself. The things that the man can do athletically, the things that man can do with his arm, with his legs, mind. He's just proven to be such a win. And I think many might say he got a case for being one of the best in the NFL. Right up there with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Aaron Donald and those elite players. I'm looking at Stephon Diggs as a nice runner up. I love the safeties. We've talked a lot about the great safeties that Mike Hyde and Jordan Poyer manning the defense backfield, stopping the deep ball. Buffalo's been great against the pass every year. Von Miller, let's not sleep on Von Miller. He did tear his ACL last year. Formerly one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Still has a lot left in the tank, I think. Matt Milano on the NFL 100 list, making his debut this year.
I like
Future Hall of Famer, according to Andy. Love the take. Yeah, I think that's Tre'Davious White, the corner. I think he can, he's coming off an ACL tear, but it's year 2, so he should be maybe fully back to who we think he is. Look for Dalton Kincaid to maybe be brought up on this list next year, man. He's showing crazy things in camp so far.
So I have a question for you though. If Josh Allen was out of the picture, who's next?
For
the best player in Buffalo.
Oh, definitely Stephon Diggs. You nailed it with the runner-up pick. Yeah, he's one of the best route runners I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the Minneapolis Miracle against the Saints. Just the way that he was able to keep his feet in.
Yeah, maneuver the sidelines like that was
he
special.
played the defender to the point where he created space when space couldn't be created, but he found a way. He caught the ball, stayed in bounds, ran and won the game. And I think that's such a Stephon Diggs play.
Oh my God, it is.
No other receiver could have made that play.
No, and you know this as well because you talked about Detroit, and when you were talking about Josh Allen against Detroit, I thought you were going to talk about the 70-yard rope that he threw when the game was tied with 19 seconds left, and he just threw that laser beam right in the middle of the defense. Stephon Diggs, that plays as much on Diggs as it is on Josh.
Yeah.
He created so much separation. He wasn't like, there's this quote from Jim Nantz when the throw leaves Josh's hand, and he says, "How did he get that open?" And it's like, if you watch the tape, first of all, it's a great route and he does great things to create separation, but he's not that open. There's 4 guys all within 3 yards of Stephon Diggs.
I texted Dan that day. I said, fire the whole defense. Like, just get.
But it's like you want it to be that, but it's not that simple, right? It's great players make great plays. That's what win games, So absolutely brilliant lists today. Anthony, had such a blast with you talking through the best players on every AFC team. Glad we ended with my boys in Buffalo. I loved having Takeo and Armand in the chat, keeping things alive. Armand, if the Bills beat the Jets week 1, I need a video apology from you, and I need you to say that Josh Allen is your king.
The Bills will beat the Jets in week 1.
I think so too, but there's a lot of talk, Anthony. We gotta wait. We got 5 weeks to go, man. I'm counting down the moments.
Oh, we're getting so close.
We're
it's
so
just so close. It's
all
in our reach, but
football fans take a deep breath. It's so close. Just like focus on yourself, focus on self-care, because you're in a couple weeks, your lives are over until next February.
Right.
Anyways, Anthony, I had such a blast. Thank you for coming on with me. Appreciate
Fun.
the chatters coming in. We had some confusing timing scheduling things with the chatters, so you guys were really patient and great. So much love to everybody who listens to Legit Football. So much love to the whole team. Joe and Brian and Adrian and Jimmy. Please, 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 everybody listening, go subscribe to Legit Football on legitfootball.com. You will not regret it. Daily newsletter every day, 5-minute read. You're caught up on your NFL news. Anthony is the biggest advocate for it. Anthony does not start his day without it. Cup of coffee, Legit Football. There's no
Absolutely. I
better
love it.
morning.
I love it.
Well, Anthony, do you have any parting words for our beautiful guests?
We're almost there, guys. Stick with it. Like Kevin said, focus on yourself because eventually you won't be able to.
Just meditate.
Just meditate for a month, and then week 1 will be here.
To Cato, this comment is hilarious. I'm gonna leave it here for the visual viewers. If you're not on the video, you're gonna have to go to YouTube and watch the live recap to see Takato's hilarious joke to end the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Legit Football NFL podcast, and we are out.